It felt like I was being torn apart. I just had to wade through it. Getting on board with polyamory and becoming polyamorous, it's just made our relationship so much stronger. Chris and I met when I was his boss, and we reconnected after probably a year or so and had a great, lovely night together. 6 months later, I was going to Tropical Fruit, and Chris and my tent were right next to each other. Complete coincidence in a sea of, what's that, like 2,000 campers at this festival, and I looked at him and went, "This is a sign. You're the love of my life." We were here living together within 3 months. 2 years into our relationship, we were in Sydney for Mardi Gras, and we were at Kooky, which is this iconic queer party. And on the dance floor, we met Joel.
We danced a little bit, and then 3 minutes in, I've never done this before or since, I basically just said, "Do you want to come back to mine at the end of this party?" And they kind of looked at each other and were like, "Yeah, okay." It was like the simplest, easiest pickup ever.
I think that night we all felt something very special. Like we could feel this wasn't just, just like a fun one night thing. There felt like a connection. Me and Nic had, we were non-monogamous, so there was an openness already to us.
So then we all started dating. So we became a throuple there for that first year. And then we started to have some challenges. Getting into a throuple really challenged a lot of my, attachment issues. It was like just threat. It was so it was like the bodily memory is like I can feel my temperature rising, feel sick in the stomach. This is a bad thing.
If Nic and I had met, we would have hooked up, we would have dated for a bit, and then many men in my life, we would have become really close friends. If Chris and I had met each other, we would have met, fallen in love, and pursued a relationship together. The complication here was that I met those two people together in a relationship. And I could feel, I still had enormous affection for Nic. The kind of romantic, sexual thing kind of waned. And I guess but I didn't know how to parlay that into a friendship when I was also falling in love with his life partner. And so I thought I had to break up with both of them. And so that's what I did.
I just started crying.
So I was like, great, finally, someone's done it. Thank you, Joel. It's the right decision to make.
And then I had met a bunch of people who had experience in polyamory. And I would say I'm really heartbroken to break up with Chris. And the repeated response was, well, why do you have to break up with Chris? And I hadn't even thought that it was an option to continue the relationship with one and end the relationship with the other.
Then me and Joel saw each other and kind of decided that we do love each other, we want to make this work, and then started the very complex, big 2020 for us.
I could have said to Chris, I don't want you to do this. This doesn't make me happy or comfortable. Actually makes me quite upset. But I knew in 6 months, 6 years, at some point that would have essentially a poisoning effect on the relationship. At the time, it felt like I was being torn apart. I didn't cope well with it, I would say. It was exacerbated by lockdown. You've just got to wade through it. And ultimately that's what I did. It was that I was doing the work on myself. I accepted my attachment style, I accepted my insecurities and started to process them. I love someone enough that I want to explore things that make them happy, and that I knew wasn't an actual threat to the relationship, but it really hurt.
Even in the worst fights and the worst conflict, we always said at the core of this was this idea that we knew we would be stronger if we could get through this.
And it's been such a gift to be able to do it. Going through that really difficult process with the three of us has actually improved my friendships. It's improved my relationships with other family members. Since that time, I've also fallen in love with other people and had them, join the polycule, so to speak.
There's also the relationship that Nic and I have been developing. And it's a kind of this fraternal, brotherly, sisterly kind of love. Love to have one foot out in the country
Yeah.
together, something.
We joke-
3 old queens in a cottage.
Well, we joke that because Joel and I are quite high impact on Chris's stress levels, he's going to fall over from a heart attack one day, and we'll end up like Grace and Frankie.
Like, love is not scarce. Love is limitless. You can love more, and you can, you know, create the kind of relationships that work for you.
I guess I'd go back to that story of Chris and I saw each other at the festival with their tents right next to one another. And I knew in that moment that we were going to be together forever. And along this whole journey, that loyalty to that shared adventure through life has never wavered, even as we've redefined things. I am so loyal to that shared life with him, and that now extends to a shared life with this wonderful person who's a dear friend and a non-romantic but deep lover as well. It's the most extraordinary gift.